We all enter this world with the universal greeting. We then learn to speak.
Bonjour, comment allez-vous?
Hoy estoy muy contenta.
Though our languages, cultures, and traditions may differ, we still share one thing in common. We have hope for humanity and the world.
Donated an additional
German
500,000
railway company Deutsche
Director
Bahn,
of the
the
International
26th
Monetary
United
Fund,
Nations
Kristen
Climate
Young.
Change.
Hear the difference. Join our global network to connect with the world.
A young perspective on hot-button issues around the world. This is The Hub.
Hello and welcome to The Hub. I'm Wang Guan in Beijing. This year marks 70 years of China-Africa diplomatic relations. Over the decades, cooperation has moved beyond trade and infrastructure into areas like digital innovation, grain development, and industrial upgrading. Now, a new step. Starting May the 1st, China will grant tariff-free access to all 53 African countries with diplomatic relations, alongside faster grain lanes for exports from agricultural goods to manufactured products. As China and Africa deepen coordination in platforms like the United Nations, BRICS, and G20, a key question emerges. How is this partnership evolving for a new era of Global South cooperation? And what could that mean for trade, development, and global governance? Joining us today in Beijing is He Wenping, Professor and Senior Research Fellow at the Institute of West Asian and African Studies at the Chinese Academy of Social Sciences. In Hainan, we have Lara Netherlands, founder and CEO of Tilapia Solutions. Great to have both of you, and I'm even happier that we have an all-female team. Now, Professor He, let me start with you. China and Africa have long been economically complementary, from resources and labor to technology and industrial capacity. Preferential access was once focused on least developed countries. Now it covers all 53 partners of China. Why broaden it at this point? And what does this timing signal strategically?
Well, thank you for having me. Actually, this tariff-free policy, as you just mentioned, started from the end of 2024, and also first goes to those least developed country. Africa as a whole had 33 countries benefited from that point, and now expanding to all those countries with diplomatic ties with China. So why now? I think because given the past 2 years already has been tested, this policy is very positive and very driving force for Africans. This export the commodity to China, and also played a very significant role for even pushing African economic growth as a whole. And also another point is, given now the African countries suffering quite a lot from a lot of geopolitical tension, and you can name it. You see in the past years, a lot of war going on, even since early of this year. Also, the Iran war and the U.S. and the Israel, bombing the Iran, and caused this global supply chain also broken. That influenced Africa's economy very much. That is why Africa definitely needs another access to get their economy back up, and also to find another access to export their commodities. So to save their economy. I think given those two, plus another one, because like trade protectionism now also is on the rise. We have seen clearly that when Donald Trump got in the office in White House, and then he came out with this tariff war, trade war, also goes to those African countries as well. For example, like Lesotho, a small, tiny Southern African country, because they exported some textile products, including the jeans, those things to U.S. market. And then U.S. administration taxed this Lesotho, such a tiny economy, and as high as 50% new tariff. You see, that's a big blow to their very fragile, small economy. So given this kind of a background, I think China, this zero tariff policy is very timing and very effective for Africans' trade and economic development.
The timing is certainly interesting. Now, let's zoom in a little bit. Lara, your company works closely with African exporters entering the Chinese market, particularly through Hainan, but not only. With Hainan's existing zero-tariff and facilitation policies already in place, how do you see this new Africa-wide tariff-free initiative work in practice? And what kind of synergy do you expect?
Thank you so much for having me, Wang Guan. And that is certainly a thought-provoking question. I think if we look at the surface level of things, Hainan has no real advantage compared to the rest of Chinese mainland importing African products and resources in Europe. However, I also think that we need to reframe how we think about Hainan, because Hainan is not only a gateway for Chinese mainland market, it's also a gateway for global market. If you look at China's various provinces and regions, Hainan is the most closely linked to Southeast Asia. So that's very important to consider if you're not just looking at the Chinese population, which is a vast population, but also by the Asian markets. And then there are other beneficial policies and factors which make it more attractive for entrepreneurs to commence with their production lines in Hainan. And that is a deep water port, which gives it enough access for large ships to enter and dock safe. That makes logistics and transport more streamlined.
That is a comprehensive wrap-up. Thanks so much, Lara. Now, Professor He, 70 years on, China-Africa trade hit a record $348 billion in the year 2025. Under the Belt and Road framework, how is this relationship shifting from scale to really quality? And why does that shift matter for the Global South?
Well, this shift from the quantity to quality actually also fit with the the needs both from China development, also from Africa's future development. Given the China's situation, we can see over past 40 years now, we have been focused on speed. Speed matters. Even we heard very much frequently about our leader Deng Xiaoping's sentence saying, no matter black cat or white cat, as long as you catch the mouse, it is a good cat. So the speed very much matters. But now China's general economic GDP now is getting quite big. We have been serving as the second biggest economy in this world ever since 2010. So now we have to shift from speed matters now to quality matters. So everything we focus on quality rather than just fast. Now should be better. Even the environmental this protection also matters very much. That's why we are calling about to build a beautiful China. Before we haven't heard these words, but now the beautiful also matters very much. So this is the our China style modernization, these fundamental needs. And given the Africa's development, same story. Because Africa also needs to develop clean energy, cannot repeat those wrong paths polluted and developed. So cannot be because they have to make full use of this latecomers advantage. So no need to repeat those bad story, those forerunners has already done. So to develop clean energy, to protect those beautiful environment African countries are already enjoying. So this is why also need high quality development. This is also one of the basic needs coming from One Belt, One Road initiative.
Now, Lara and Professor He, I want to hear more from you, but that's all the time we have. And thank you so much for your insights. And that wraps up the first half on China-Africa cooperation and what this new tariff-free framework could mean in practice. But trade and development are not only shaped by policy, they also depend on business confidence and corporate strategy. And that brings us to our next guest, Tapestry's global CEO, Joanne Krovaseret. Stay with us.
Focus on what's relevant in China and the world. Bridge the gap between what you know and what you want to know. This is The Hub.
From infrastructure development to breakthroughs in artificial intelligence and advanced manufacturing, China is shaping the future of global business. As industries continue to evolve, many see China not just an opportunity, but as a critical engine of long-term growth. I sat down with Joanne Corvasseret, the CEO of Tapestry, the parent company of the brands such as Kate Spade and Coach. Joanne, great to see you again.
It's great to be here, Guan. It's exciting for me to be here to understand how Tapestry can contribute to this 15th five-year plan.
This five-year plan system is really an invention of China, the organizing principle for China's socioeconomic development. In what ways do you see alignment between Tapestry and China's next five-year plan?
Well, it's so nice to have such clarity around the goals of the government and the building that's happening in China so that we can understand not only where we benefit from the Chinese market, but also what we can contribute. And so what we see in terms of alignment for Tapestry is continuing investment in our business, in innovation, in sustainability, and bringing product to market, particularly targeting young consumers, but also a growing middle class, given the unmatched value and innovation we're delivering into the marketplace.
And then how would you overall rate the policy environment here in China? Because there has been so much volatility, external shocks in the world.
There have been a lot of challenges in the world, macro, micro challenges. But what we see in the marketplace is a vibrant economy, one where we're able to deliver innovation into the market, deliver compelling value, really work deeply with our consumers to understand them, and then bring innovation to life for them. And that is powering our business. We've seen tremendous success in this market. You know, we've been in this market for over 20 years. We have over 350 stores across 90 cities in this market, yet we see continued growth opportunity. And we're excited about that growth opportunity. In the last quarter, you know, we've grown double digits, over 30% in this market.
Yeah, I heard.
And for several quarters now, we've grown double digits. So that gives us the confidence to see that we have a lot of opportunity and a long runway ahead in China. With our category, which is primarily, you know, our core category is handbags, we are welcoming more consumers into the category. So we are driving double-digit growth, as you mentioned, 34% in the last quarter. And that's been consistent double-digit growth over the prior quarters. And where we're winning is this understanding of the consumer. Our first priority is to get to know our target consumer deeply. And that's not just data on what they buy, but really understanding the tensions in their lives. We do in-home visits with them. They don't know we're from Tapestry or Coach. Just to understand, you know, what is happening in their life. We look at their wardrobe. They talk to us about their preferences and priorities in lifestyle. And we take those insights and the data, we harness all of that, and we bring it to life through the creativity our teams are delivering with innovation into the marketplace. So that is how we're winning. It's by knowing our customer and then delivering the magic of the creativity of our product. And as I said earlier, we're delivering product at unmatched value into the marketplace, and that's how we're winning.
We noticed the trend whereby a lot of companies are de-risking from China, especially from across the Pacific Ocean. Some other companies are doubling down on China. If you think about some, auto manufacturing companies from Europe, how is Tapestry positioning or repositioning the China market?
Well, more than 70% of our growth in the coming years will come from international markets, and China is a key market. But it's not just a market for growth for us, it's a market for inspiration. We have, as I mentioned earlier, been in this market for decades. We also have a very important product development center in Dongguan that is an innovation hub for the world, not just for China. So we see China as a market, again, for inspiration. We are meeting with young consumers, engaging them in our brands in a deep way, and leveraging innovation from this market, and it informs what we do globally.
Let's talk about the digital space, Joanne, if you don't mind, because it is vibrant as it is diverse here in China. You know, you see KOLs, e-commerce, live streaming, instant conversion everywhere you go, on digital apps, on social media. How is Tapestry tapping into that digital space in China?
It is a critically important space. And what we like to say is we have to follow the consumer. So I don't have a point of view on we should be in a digital marketplace because it's the right thing to do. We want to be where our consumers are. And the consumer moves fast, particularly in China, right? The innovation that's happening here, the requirements from that consumer. So we always have to stay close to the consumer and understand where they are. And then we leverage our deep presence, our talent, and we're investing in talent in this marketplace. We're investing in marketing, and we have partnerships with the biggest platforms here in China, the digital platforms and players, to help us leverage the data that we have, reach consumers where they are, and that's been really a driver for us and an enabler to meeting our customer as they continue to move.
Do you think, say, if Tapestry or Kate Spade or Coach works with a KOL in China, and that KOL sells a Coach bag or a purse to his multi-million followers, does that enhance the luxury brand of Tapestry, or do you think that actually makes that brand look more average, a commodity, let's say?
Well, we're very intentional about how we reach our consumers, and we want to reach them in an authentic way. So the most important thing a brand can do is to be authentic in that engagement with the consumer. And if we're engaging an influencer just to sell our product and they're not a fit with our brand, the consumer sees right through that, to your point. So we want to make sure that as we meet our consumers, the platforms that we engage on, the influencers that are representing our brand are authentic to our brand and represent the brand in the right way. And at the end of the day, this is a consumer who likes to shop in stores as well. So they may be influenced digitally in terms of their product discovery, but they like to go in stores and touch and feel the product. They like the community aspect of being in a physical location. And I will say we have great teams here in China that can engage the customer authentically in the store. So what we think about is having that authentic and seamless engagement with the consumer, whether they're online or offline, and making sure that online to offline experience is a quality one.
What is really the future of brick-and-mortar stores for Tapestry, for example, in China? Because we know that you open some cafes, some do-it-yourself experiences, spaces everywhere.
The opportunity we see is tremendous to continue to open stores and beyond just Tier 1 and Tier 2 cities. We think there is an opportunity for us to continue to invest and grow throughout the market here. And it is important for us to continue to innovate in these spaces. So there isn't a static, the next evolution of our store will look like X. It's a constant test and learn, constantly innovating to make sure that we're engaging our customer in the right way, particularly as customers' tastes change over the years. So again, the offline to online experience is really important. And then consistent or constant innovation to make sure that we create a compelling, immersive experience for our consumer.
On artificial intelligence, it is so pervasive. It gets involved in design, demand prediction, marketing. Where do you find artificial intelligence most useful for Tapestry at this point?
Well, we've been using AI and machine learning tools for a long time in our business. And as it has developed and there's more generative AI and there are more and more tools coming to market, I think the opportunities are vast in our business. And I do see the application across our value chain from product development, as you mentioned, where our designers are using that tool, maybe not to do the initial concept. The sketch is still very important, that creative magic that our designers bring, but then iterating on that and color choices and things are compressing the time in our product development calendar. So it allows us to bring new innovation to the customer faster, right? And then we are using AI tools in inventory management and pricing and marketing all the way through our value chain. And the way I think about AI is we are deploying AI in ways that it helps us strengthen the engagement with the consumer. So at the end of the day, I think these tools are going to be really helpful in strengthening our business.
Because there have been so many questions on whether or not artificial intelligence is truly enhancing creativity in its most authentic sense, or is it rather diluting artificial intelligence and make people less robust in thinking and in creating?
This is exactly why we believe that having the human in the loop is so important, because that creative eye, that design eye, the design intent is still very important in the process, and we maintain that in our process. But again, these tools are helping us move faster through the life cycle, which is good for consumers because we can bring more innovation to life and we can do it faster.
I'll find a couple of questions on the tensions that right now we have, the tariffs, the war in the Middle East, the increasing geopolitical rivalry between the major powers. How exposed is Tapestry to all these risks, and how concerned are you?
Well, our exposure always comes back to, we worry about how it impacts the consumer. And so we have a diversified supply chain. We have strong business in North America, in China, and Asia, APAC generally, and in Europe. Our business is growing, but with all of these macro uncertainties and concerns, our focus is always on how is this impacting the customer and how is the consumer responding. So we want to make sure that we have the agility and the creativity to continue to deliver for the customer as their shopping behaviors may change. The requirement to deliver innovation and value has only increased, and that's been a trend that's been happening over the past few years. I don't see that slowing down, and that's what our teams are positioned to deliver.
Finally, if we fast forward 5 years, what role do you hope China can play in Tapestry's global story?
I believe that China can be our fastest growing market over the next 5 years. And I'm excited to unlock that here. That's why I like to spend time in this market and with consumers here.
Thanks, Joanne.
Thank you.
With that, we come to the close of this edition of the Hub on CGTN. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm Wang Guan in Beijing. See you again soon.
He can't live without the Yellow River in his eyes.
The Yellow River is so noble and elegant.
Both
my grandpa and dad made the living from the river.
Would you like to move away from the Yellow River?
I don't think I will. I love it so much.
The Yellow River, the second longest river in China, is regarded as a shaping force in the history, economy and culture of northern China. Today, about 100 million people live within its water basin, making up nearly 9% of the country's population. How is climate change felt at its headwaters, and what are the locals doing to cope with it? What are the descendants of the boatmen doing? What has kept some people from leaving their home village by the river, and what has drawn others back? Could the fading fishing community revive in a time of digital transformation? From 2021 to 2024, our reporters visited the upper, middle and lower reaches of the Yellow River, talked to the herders, farmers, boatmen, fishermen and eco-activists who share a close bond with the river, and present their stories in pictures, podcasts and videos, all in our 12-part series, The Yellow River Mosaic, available only on CGTN Radio.
Dunhuang, situated along the ancient Silk Road, where fine arts and divine beliefs merged with the natural world. It's where the East and West interacted, and where the world's largest Buddhist art gallery still fascinates and amazes people today. A place where stories of life and death, love and hatred, passion and desire, faith and sacrifice have been generated and told for 2,000 years. Buckle up for our podcast, Why We Love Dunhuang, the one and only podcast that can take you to the fantasy world of Dunhuang and beyond through our audio tour. Listen and subscribe for free on major podcast platforms. Why We Love Dunhuang? You will have your answers.
I cannot marry you.
while your mother regards me.
Step into the world of timeless elegance with Mrs. Spring Fragrance, a captivating audiobook by Edith Eaton, read by Man Ling.
Because the green leaf still clings to the bough.
Experience the lively yet complex lives in Chinese American communities at the turn of the 20th century as Edith Eaton's delicate prose weaves together themes of tradition, change, love, and identity.
Forget all that belongs to the joy of life.
Follow the journey of Mrs. Spring Fragrance and witness the struggles and fights of those living on a rapidly changing exotic land while holding on to their cultural traditions, or more importantly, to their identities.
He could hardly believe that his daughter was seriously opposed to becoming the wife of such a good-looking, prosperous young merchant as Wang Ling.
Join Books and Beyond for Mrs. Spring Fragrance. Let the stories come to life in your imagination. Subscribe to Books and Beyond for free on your favorite podcast platforms, or log on to radio.cgtn.com for more.